Hey friends! So we're going to look at movement in p5.js today. So what's actually happening when we're running our code is we have a setup function that's displaying stuff once. So it's setting up the canvas and then the background image. And then we have a draw function that's running over and over again, drawing our background, drawing our images. So that can create an animation effect. We're going to start off in p5.js. So the starter code's linked in the comments. Go to File, go to Duplicate, and give the file your own name. I'm just going to call it Andy's Flash because I've got a well-known character in this starter code. All right, now there are some things we want to notice in the code when we run it. So look at what's happening. It's making Flash run across the screen, and then it's displaying a text message at the end. We've got some statements at the top of our code: let Flash, let lightning. What that's doing is it's declaring a variable Flash that we're going to use. And then we use Flash load image to load an image file, which is over here in our file space on the left, the flash.png. You can preview that, all right? So you can preview my image. Now I need to switch back to my sketch.js file to go to my code. Okay, just minimize that so I can see. So I've got my Flash image that I'm loading, and then down here in the draw function, I'm drawing the background, which is my lightning image, and then I'm drawing my Flash image. So image Flash, I'm drawing that at position A100, and then I'm printing this message, Flash's position equals A. That's showing down in the console down at the bottom. That just lets me check that my code is running, all right? I don't have to do that, but it's helpful. And then I'm using this A equals A plus 5 to add 5 to my A value. And then when A is greater than 100, I'm going to display this winning message. And let's change that so it says Flash wins. Now check out what happens when I run it. Flash moves to the right of the screen. His position is increasing and increasing. And then when it hits 800, it says Flash wins. So I'm using that variable A to change the position of Flash. What we're going to do now is we're going to add another character. So I've got these Spidey images, so you can use one of these. Okay, those are already there in the files. My Spidey.png. So go back to the JavaScript. And then everything we have for Flash, we're going to replicate it for Spidey. So let Spidey, I'm going to have a variable called Spidey to store that Spidey image. Okay, and then I'm going to copy this whole line of code, Flash equals load image. Okay, I don't need the comment. Copy that. Paste that, and then I'm going to change that. Instead of Flash, it's going to be Spidey, and then load images, and let's get that exact file name. So I want the Spidey PNG, and then look, if I copy the file name from up there, come on, sausage fingers, copy the file name, okay, and then I can paste the file name over here. Notice it's inside the images folder, so I need the images /. There we go. So I'm using my Spidey.png, and then down here where I have image Flash, I'm going to copy that line of code. Okay, I'm not copying the comment with it, just the code that actually works. And then instead of displaying Flash, I'm going to display, that's right, Spidey. And then let's see what happens. Let's run it. Okay, so now we got Flash and Spidey. Right now they're moving together because they're using the same variable. They're both using the A variable as their X coordinate. All right, so as A changes, the X coordinate for both of the characters changes. We don't want that to happen. We want them to actually move at different speeds. Let's just change the height first. So I'm changing Spidey's height to 100, or his Y value to, changing his Y value to trying 0, trying 200. Let's change it. Let's change it to 0, so he's at the top of the screen. And then what I also want to do is I want him to look like he's behind Flash. So I'm actually gonna move my Flash code below my Spidey code. So it draws Spidey, then draws Flash. There you go. So it looks like Spidey's in the distance because he's up top. Now I'm gonna move him differently from Flash. So I'm going to use a variable B instead of a variable A. And then up at the top of the code where I have let A, I'm going to copy that. And I'm just going to do the same thing with B. So let B, so I'm going to use a variable called B. And then this is called initializing. So B equals 0, that's setting the initial value, all right, initializing the variable. So it starts at 0. okay, because Spidey starts on the left of the screen. And then Spidey's using variable B. And then I just need to, the same way I'm adding 5 to A, I need to add a number to B. So B equals B plus, what should we do? 10. There we go. So he's going to move 10 instead of 5. So hopefully that makes him go faster. Let's see. There we go. Spidey, even faster than the Flash. Good job, Spidey. All right. And then I could give myself this little console message to help myself see what's going on in the code. Okay, you don't have to do this, but it's helpful as a programmer to be able to give yourself console messages to see that the code is running the way you want it to. So that's printing Spidey's position. So you can see Spidey's position is actually more than Flash's, right? Because he's going faster. There we go. And now let's change it so that instead of when Flash gets to the right of the screen, we want the winning message to come up when Spidey gets to the right of the screen. So if B is greater than 800, we get the winning message. And now let's change it so that Spidey wins. Nice. There we go. Spidey wins. Love it. All right. So now, okay, if you want to change a character, let's say I wanted to have SpongeBob running to the right, I can go online and just find myself an image online, okay, and then I can capture that, screen capture that. I can save it. I need it to be a PNG file, okay. If I go to remove.bg, I'm going to remove the background from my image, so I'll upload my image in remove.bg. Okay, it removes the background, and then I'm going to download it into my, there we go. Now it's in my downloads folder. All right. Now, if I go to my downloads folder, it's got a long file name. In my p5.js project, I want my file name to be nice and easy and short, easy to remember. So if I just make it something like sponge or sponge run, change it to something simple. Okay. So then when I go back to p5.js, I'm going to go to my files, go to images, the little down arrow, click on that, and I can upload my file. Okay, so I can upload my file, and then here we go, select it from my computer. Come on. Oh, you know what? It may not be showing. It may, there it is. Come on, there it is. There he is. There he is. There we go. So that's uploaded. Okay, that's actually uploaded not in the images folder. Okay, so what I actually want to do is I want to upload it inside the images folder. So I clicked on the little down arrow next to images and uploaded it inside the image folder. I don't want that sponge run that's outside the image folder, right? Have it inside the images folder. There we go. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use, instead of my Spidey file, I'm going to use my sponge run image file. So go here, and then when I'm loading the Spidey image, I'll just change that to my sponge run image. Okay, so I changed the image file I'm using. Now when they run, there we go. We got SpongeBob instead of Spidey. Cool. All right, so you can change your characters to whatever you want. And then what I should do is change all the code for SpongeBob. There we go. So SpongeBob wins, and then I could actually change my background the same way. So see this red lightning storm file? I'm loading, here we go, loading red lightning storm. Okay. And I'm loading that, I'm calling that lightning. All right. So I've got a variable that's lightning. So I could actually change my background image the same way. Okay. What I'm doing right now is I'm going to, everywhere it says Spidey, I'm going to change it to sponge, just so my code makes sense. Okay. You should always tidy up your code. So image, sponge. Okay. Make sure all the names of your variables match what they represent. Okay. Oh, I should have changed that to sponge position as well. Okay, but you get the idea. So what you're going to do, folks, is you can change the characters, you can change the background image, you can customize it, you can get it all working. Very nice. Okay, one last thing you might want to do is change the size. If you go to p5js.org reference, you can look up all of the functions. The image function, it tells you the first parameter is the image, the second parameters are the x and y coordinates of the image, fourth and fifth parameters, they set the width and the height. So what I can do, where I'm using this line of code that says image here, so for SpongeBob, I've got the file, then I've got the X coordinate, and then the Y coordinate. If I put another number in, that's the width. And if I put another number in, that's the height. So width 50, height 50. That makes a really little SpongeBob. Okay, if I make the width a lot bigger and the height a lot bigger, it's going to make a much bigger SpongeBob, okay? And you've got to think about proportions for this. So now you do this, folks. Make your characters, make your backgrounds, have fun.